Philadelphia, get ready to be inspired. If you need help finding the light in the darkness, don't touch that dial. Let's navigate life through the lens of hope with Scotty P. Inspirational speaker Scotty P speaks the importance of mental health in society and encourages techniques to overcome the everyday mental health obstacles that hold us back in life. It's not just inspiration, it's Scotty P inspiration.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is your host, Scotty P, here with another episode of the Scotty P Inspiration Show, coming at you live from the most exclusive studio ever, which is simply my house. All right, so thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. I appreciate it. And as always, my goal is to help you to learn to navigate your life through the lens of hope and rediscover the resilience within yourself by listening to the concepts and strategies and wisdom and ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you on this show today. Okay, so without further ado, my name is Scott Prendergast, aka Scotty P. I am your host, and I'm really excited about our topic today because I think, as usual, it's something that a lot of us deal with, and maybe we don't 100% know how to go about talking about it or identifying it in ourselves, all right? Now, before we could do that, real quick, couple ways to watch a show. You could go on any major podcast platform, and you could search The Scotty P Inspiration Show, and you can watch it that way. In addition, you can go on my YouTube channel, which is Scotty P Inspiration, and watch the video with that. You can also go on my website, which is scottypinspo.com, and view the content that way. All right, everybody. So as you know, I like to jump right into it, get it started so that you could take something from this show and apply it to your life right here, right now, today. Let's get it. Let's go. Okay. So usually, for those of you who are listeners, I like to start with a quote, but today I wanted to switch it up a bit. So instead, I'm going to jump right in here with a question for you, the listener, okay? Now, the question is this, and I want you to ask yourself this, okay? Am I a reflection of what I've seen in my life, or am I a reflection of what I've felt? I'm going to repeat that question. Again, you're going to ask this to yourself. Keep this in mind as we go throughout the episode. Am I a reflection of what I have seen in my life, or am I a reflection of what I have felt in my life? Interesting concept, right? Because a lot of us, when we look in the mirror, we don't always see what we want to see, and we don't always see exactly what we hope to see. But sometimes we see something because of what other people have projected onto us. Sometimes when we look in the mirror, we see something totally based off of what we feel right now in the moment, and that's it. Or sometimes when we look in the mirror, we don't even recognize ourselves. We just recognize emotions. We just recognize trauma. We just recognize pain. We just see in ourselves what everybody else has said or projected onto us. Right? A lot of us do this. And so the reason I started with this question is because I want us to start to become aware of this. So am I a reflection of what I've seen in my life, what has happened to me, or am I a reflection of what I have felt in my life? And neither is necessarily a bad thing, but neither is necessarily a good thing. But the point of this question is that I want you to become aware that when you look at yourself in the mirror, sometimes you're not truly seeing who you are, but rather you're seeing something that you felt or dealt with in the past. Okay? Now, when this happens, we want to make sure that we don't let that past situation or feeling or emotion really just dictate our entire day and our entire perception of who we are. Right? Because we are so much more than anything that has happened to us. Any one thing that has happened to us, any 20 things that has happened to us, we are so much more than that. Right? Everything that happened to us is a part of who we are, but it is not all of who we are. And we are more than that. We are more than your worst day. We are more than that most traumatic experience. We are more than the biggest pain you've ever felt in your life. That is all part of you, but it does not define you. And that's why I wanted to start with this question, is to help people to understand that there is a separation between what you see and who you are, and how we can work on seeing what we truly are rather than just seeing what we think we are or what we felt. And that's what this episode is really going to be about today. So let's dive into it a little bit deeper here as we started with this concept. I really want to roll with this. So one of the things that I wrote down, and I think we all have a tendency to do this a lot, is taking notes, taking inventory, so to speak, on the different things that have happened in our lives. And when I say taking notes, I don't mean I'm literally walking around the house with a notepad and pen, and I'm taking notes on every single thing I see and every single time somebody walks by. I got it all on notes. Bro, that's a little bit weird. Well, that is totally fine if that's what you're into. But for most of us, we're not walking around every single day taking notes on every single thing that happens in every single second of the day. No, we don't have time for that. We don't have the energy for that. But what I mean by saying, what are you taking notes of, is what are you recalling? Right? So throughout your day, what are you constantly focusing on? What are you constantly putting your energy to as you go throughout your day today? right? Are you focusing on, oh man, these people did me dirty in my past. These people put so much pain on me. These people are the reason I'm here. That person is the reason I'm sad. Are you taking notes on that? Are you focusing on that? Or are you taking notes on, wow, look at all I've went through, but look how it's made me who I am today. Wow, these struggles were really difficult in my life, but look how much I learned from these struggles. Wow, maybe that situation wasn't that great. It was really hard. I didn't think I could get through it, but look how I changed my perspective and my life's path because of it. Which one are you focusing on? What are you taking notes on throughout the day? Okay, and this is just at the start of the day. Then as you're going throughout the day, obviously we're all going to have situations that happen. And guess what? There's going to be some not so good ones every single day. So are you taking all your energy, all your time, all your focus, obsessing and focusing over a few things that maybe were misfortunate, that were mad, that made you angry, sad, frustrated? Are you taking all that time focusing on those couple things? Or are you focusing on stuff in your day that's going to move you forward, that's going to bring you some happiness, that's going to bring you some laughter, some joy, some peace? Which one are you focusing on? Now, I can't answer that question for you, but what I can do is give you the tools to help you to learn to separate them and to understand that, hey, look, maybe I am focusing on all these negative things. I got to make an adjustment to get out of that, right? And what I just said here is kind of the beginning parts of helping you to become self-aware of that. So that's why I really wanted to say, what are you taking notes on throughout the day? Because whatever you're taking notes on, whatever you're keeping inventory of, so to speak, whatever you're constantly reminding yourself of, guess what? When you look in the mirror at yourself, that's what you're going to see. You know, how can you expect to see somebody that you love in the mirror if all that you're telling yourself is all the reasons why you failed all day? You know, how can you expect to look at yourself in the mirror and be happy with where you're at in your life when all you keep focusing on is all the times that you failed? Right? So these two things go hand in hand. How you see yourself, your reflection, and also what it is that you're focusing on every day and taking inventory and notes on. So one would say that if we can learn to take better notes on ourselves throughout the day, if we could become aware and cognizant of when we start to go down that rabbit hole of that kind of self-detrimental way of thinking, it's going to change some stuff for us. And you're absolutely right. It is going to change things for us. Now, we're going to talk about in a little bit how we could do that more, but I really think what's important more than anything is just becoming aware of that. And so the next time you're going throughout your day and you start to say, man, I'm just struggling because of what these people did to me, or I'm just not happy because I didn't get that job, or I'm miserable because I didn't have that college experience, or because this situation, that situation, blah, 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 blah. Stop yourself. Recognize you're doing it and just stop yourself for a second and say, you know what? I'm not going to take notes only on that today. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go back to the same situation and I'm going to find a reason to tell myself, hey, yeah, that happened, but look what good came from it. And I don't care if you have to sit there for 20 minutes thinking, okay, I got to find one good thing that came from this, then do it. Because the better notes that you take about yourself throughout the day, the better you're going to view yourself, not just in the mirror, but just how you interact with other people throughout the day. Something for you to keep in mind as we go about this, okay? So as we're diving a little bit deeper here in the episode, I wrote something else down. And what I wrote down was, are you looking at yourself purely through the lens of how you feel today? And that's it. Now, for me, for those of you that don't know, faith is a big part of my life. I am a Christian, and I'm proud to say that. And one of the things that we as Christians believe a lot, and one of the things that's talked about in the scriptures a lot is not to just go by your feelings, right? Because your feelings are like the ocean. They're up, they're down, they're good, they're bad, they're happy, they're sad, they're frustrated, they're enthusiastic, right? They're constantly changing. So if we only go by our feelings, well, you know, it's going to be a pretty bumpy ride and we're never truly going to be level-headed, right? And so in the scriptures, it's talking about put your faith in God rather than putting your faith in your feelings. So, you know, that's big. You can look that up on your own and talk about that, but that's just one thing I wanted to bring up. Now, in a sense of non-scriptures related, it is also really applies to people too, because if we're going throughout the day and we're looking at today through the lens of I am pissed off, okay, then you're going to have a terrible day. Because if you're pissed off all day, that annoyance, that anger is going to seep into every aspect of everything that you do. It's going to seep into your relationships. It's going to seep into your work. It's going to seep into your exercise. It's going to seep into how you deal with every situation, how you deal with someone cutting you off, how you deal with there being no avocados left at the supermarket. It's going to seep into everything, right? And so why would we want to waste a whole day because we're looking at it through the lens of anger or sadness or whatever it is? Right? That's not something that we want to do. Now, with that being said, it's understandable though, because it's understandable to be feeling something and just want to be like, I don't want to do anything today because maybe I don't want it to get worse. So I figure if I just go around angry all day, it'll stay at this point and it won't get worse. And I won't get my hopes up and I won't get let down. Can't tell you how many times I hear that from people that I work with. And again, understood. I get it. It's natural to feel that way. But I want you to open up your mind to the idea that just because you feel a certain way today, that doesn't mean your day has to be defined by that feeling. And it doesn't mean that your day completely has to be down the drain because you feel a certain thing. And one of the things that I think can help us with that is taking your time to feel it. So what I do is if I'm having a day where I'm just like, man, I'm feeling really annoyed, or I'm feeling really just sad or resentful, or I'm just feeling really sentimental, whatever it is, right? I give myself about 20 minutes at some point throughout the day to just feel it. I'm like, okay, from the next 20 minutes, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to allow myself to feel this feeling, this emotion. And I'm going to write down how I'm feeling. I'm just going to feel it for 20 minutes. I'm going to do nothing but feel that negative emotion, whatever it is. Okay. I take 20 minutes to do it. Now, after that 20 minutes up, I lock that feeling up. I put it in my little box and said, okay, I felt you today. And then I'm putting it away for the day. And I'm making the decision to say, yes, I feel this, I acknowledge it, but this feeling is not going to dictate everything that I do. This feeling is still here by me putting it in the box. It's not going away. It is here, but I'm not giving this feeling power to completely just do what it wants in my life and make me have a miserable day. Right? And I think this is something that can really help a lot. I've found this has helped me, and it's helped with a lot of people that I work with too, is giving yourself that time every day for that feeling. And the same thing can go with anxiety. I talked to one of my therapist buddies. He's a great friend of mine, although he is a Celtics fan, which is unfortunate. But anyways, we're keeping it on topic here. He always says that even as a therapist, he gives himself 30 minutes at the end of every day to just feel his anxiety, to just feel it and let it be. But after those 30 minutes are up, he says, okay, I had my anxiety time. I put it away. I'm good now. Because he's allowing himself to feel it, which is important, but he's also not letting it to define him and define every action that he takes. So for you, the listener, I want you to try that at some point. Whatever that feeling is, that emotion, whether it's anxiety, sadness, anger, pain, resentment, whatever it is, I don't know what it is for you. Try giving yourself a few minutes every day to just feel it. And then also understand that, okay, now I'm moving forward past this. I felt it for 20, 30 minutes, whatever. Now I'm shifting my focus towards the good things, to the good inventory in my head, to the things that I have to do in this day that I want to be successful, whatever it is, okay? And also, sorry about that. My neighbor appears to be mowing their lawn, so if you hear that in the background, sorry in advance, okay? All right, everybody, we're really rocking and rolling here. I'm really enjoying this episode. We got a couple more things here as we're diving a little bit deeper here. And so something else that I wrote down that I wanted to mention was really almost making like a weekly journal of what we see. Now, I know this is a super deep, you're like, all right, Scott, are you a therapist or are you a radio show host? Well, maybe a little bit of both, but I think something that really can be important that can help you, the listener, is take 1 week and every day at some point, take a few minutes to look at yourself in the mirror and allow those thoughts that you feel about yourself to come up and write those thoughts down. Maybe it's 5 or 10 thoughts, maybe it's 2 or 3 thoughts, whatever it is, but take time every day, look in the mirror and say, how do I feel about myself? And just let those thoughts kind of flow and proceed to write them down. Now do this every day for like a week in a row. Yes, 7 days in a row. You can do that. All right, do it. Do it. And after the week is up, I want you to really analyze what it is that you wrote down. I want you to see what you really wrote down. Okay. And now the reason I want you to do this and write it down every day and see it is because you'll notice a pattern will probably start to develop. And when you're looking at this pattern, it might open your eyes to say, my goodness, wow, I seriously think this poorly of myself every day. Like, why do I think this poorly of myself? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I say this to myself? And when you do that, when you start with that, it's going to help you to get on the right roads, being able to work through that. But the first step, like I always say in anything we're talking about, is it begins with acknowledgement. If we don't acknowledge what's going on around us or up in our head, bruh, how in the world can we move past it? I can't, right? You need to acknowledge it first. And this little exercise of taking that inventory of what you're saying to yourself when you look in the mirror every day for 7 days is going to help to put you on the right path to do that and build some self-awareness rather than having a scarcity of it. Because that's what we're trying to do, right? So that's an exercise, another one that I think I would love all you listeners to try at home when you have the chance, just to see what you get out of it. And it might surprise you in a good way or maybe a not so good way. But regardless, you're going to know now, you're going to be aware, which is going to help you to take the next steps to moving forward. Okay? So as we're moving forward here, to kind of go off of what I was just saying there, I really want to say this. I want to say that we got to learn to. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this here because I really just want to be honest. How do we find a way to put a filter up from all this garbage that everybody else is saying about us or in our lives and just not let it completely go into our head and our subconscious and identify who we are and what we do, right? Because one of the things I found that was the biggest challenge for me in my life was learning to tune out the noise of everybody else and understanding that my reflection should not be made up of a bunch of different things that other people believe about me. But my reflection of what I see about myself should be made up solely about what I believe of who I am and who I know that I am. Totally pristine from the brash opinions and harsh words of other people. That's in a perfect world. What we want our reflection to be is from what we define it as, not by what some person in fourth grade or some boss that we had once or some person driving down the street said to us. And I'm really dedicating a lot of my time to try to find a perfect answer to that question to say, okay, you do this and you will now have a good view of yourself and you won't think of all those negative things people said about you. But unfortunately, there isn't a one-word answer to that. There isn't a one strategy to help with that, but rather it's a process and takes time. And that process includes a lot of the things that I just shared. But what I really wanted to say is that, sometimes we got to take a stand. Sometimes we got to take a stand for ourselves. And when our mind is just bullying us, when our mind is just kicking us around, when our mind is telling us you have no reason to have a good day, so you're going to lay in bed all day, you're going to sit there, you're going to be quiet, you're going to hate yourself. When your mind is giving you stuff like that, sometimes we just got to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not doing this. I am not going down this road again today. I don't care how uncomfortable it is for me to fight back against this type of thinking. I don't care how annoying it is. I don't care how tired I am and just want to sit on this couch and don't want to think about a single thing good about myself. I don't care. I am taking a stand. I am not doing this today. I am not allowing how I feel to dictate what I do and who I am. I am not going to do it. And I will do whatever I have to do to fight back against it. And to be honest, sometimes I think we need to have that attitude. I think we need to get to a point where we're just like, I've had enough of this. I am not going to take this. I am going to do something to combat this negative self-talk, this ugly perception, this garbage that other people said about me. I'm going to do something about this. I'm not taking this anymore. I'm going to do something in a good way. I'm going to make sure that I make a change in my head so that I'm not sitting here letting my life just go to waste because of what other people have said. Right? And that take a stand, to be clear, everybody, I mean in your head mentally. I don't mean like, yeah, I'm going to go like run outside and scream at the world. No, that's not what we're saying here. I mean, I'm going to do strategies. I'm going to find things that work for me so that I can find a way to feel good about myself, even when everyone tells me I shouldn't. Even when my own head tells me that I shouldn't, I'm going to. And I think when you really dig in with that type of mentality and that type of grit and resilience, I think you're going to win every time. But the hard thing is getting ourselves to a point where we can fight back against that. Because for anyone who's ever been in a low place, which would be everybody, because we all have, you know that those feelings are strong. That self-pity, that self-doubt, that self-hatred, that self-detrimental thinking, that stuff it is strong. It benches like 475, right? It's strong. But you know what's even stronger? Your own will and your own spirit and your own desire to live a life that you want to live. You have to know that. You have to remember that. You have to understand that. And when you remind yourself of that, you will do whatever you have to within reason to be able to fight back against those thoughts in your head. Whether that be going back into your yearbook from 7th grade to remind yourself of good memories. If that's what you have to do, then you'll do it. Whether that means you have to sit down and write down every thought that you've had in the past, like 3 days on paper, just so you can identify what's going on, then you'll do it. If that means that you have to listen to 6 hours of your favorite artist because they build you up, then you'll do it. Right? So the reality is sometimes this stuff's going to take some work. We can't expect that in this life we're just going to one day never have these negative perceptions and negative thoughts. I'm sorry to tell you, it is not going to happen overnight like that without any work. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some effort. But that's okay, because you already have what you need on the inside to be able to do that. But you've got to understand that, you got to know that, and you got to learn to tap into that. Right? And I'm not saying that, okay, Scott said I'm going to tap into it, so tomorrow I'm going to do, these strategies and exercises, and then by the end of the day, I'm going to feel great. No, you might not. But I promise you that if you're consistent and you keep doing it and you hold on to that will and to that desire to want to love the person that you are, you will get there. I can guarantee that. And I tell my clients that, and I stand by that. But we've got to be willing to put in that work. And it'll take some time, and it might be ugly. It may not be super sexy. It may not be the coolest thing ever. It may not be the thing where you want to post 10 times on your Instagram story about, look what I'm doing. You might not want to do that, but guess what? That's okay. That's okay. Because at the end of the day, you'll know that you're making progress. As slow as it might be, you're making progress. And that slow, steady progress, that stuff's as strong as steel, man. Rather than this plastic progress that people like to post on social media. That stuff breaks like that. You want that steel, that iron progress. And that comes through time and resilience. But that's all right, because you could do both. So everybody, I'm just taking a look at our time real quick here. I want to kind of wrap this one up today here with one final message, kind of thought with you. And this whole episode today, talking about the reflections that you see, I want to end with this. In order for you to like what you see, it starts with what you say on the inside. Nobody can like who they are on the outside if they don't first speak kindly to themselves on the inside. Now, we've got a real battle going on in our heads sometimes about the things that we say to ourselves and believe about ourselves, but we got to learn to separate what's true and what's not, and what's helpful and what's not. And I know it can feel so daunting sometimes to do that. I know it can. And I know it can feel like some days that your mind is just completely under attack, and it feels like everything's swirling so fast, like you're never going to be happy, that you're never going to like yourself, that you're never going to be able to truly just live in the moment. It can feel like that sometimes. But it's moments like that where when we really dig in and really pull that greatness outside of us, that's on the inside of us, and let that show on the outside of us. And when we learn to look at ourselves and see who we truly are and who we want to be, and let that shine through, rather than wearing that mask that shows every little bit of what other people have said about us, when we learn to swap those two out and instead focus on the good things at who we are and who we want to be, that power and that light translates into every different aspect and everything that we touch in this world. Everything. And it all starts with learning to be kinder to who we are up here. And some of this stuff today will help you to do that. So everyone, I want to thank you for being such a great audience today. Thanks again. I hope this could help you. I hope you could take something positive from this episode today. If you want to watch more episodes, again, check out my website, scottypinspo.com, YouTube, Scotty P Inspiration, or any major podcast platform. You can check out the show that way. So until next week, everyone, this is Scotty P signing off. Have a great rest of your day.